Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Item E.
Thank you.
Coming up next on MCN, the McAllen Cable Network, the Development Corporation of McAllen for McAllen City Hall. The Development Corporation appointed by the City Commission is charged with making recommendations on how to use money that's been raised from the half-cent sales tax that was approved by McAllen voters on May the 3rd, 1997. The recommendation is made to the City Commission. They make the final decision. And now, the Development Corporation of McAllen.
Good afternoon. This is a special meeting of the Development Corporation of McAllen. It's June the 6th, 2023, and it's 12:34 p.m. And we will go ahead and get started with item number 1, which is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held on May the 15th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve the minutes to the meeting as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 2 is the consideration and approval of the budget amendment for mid-year adjustment fiscal year 2022-2023.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. We've got 3 items within this budget amendment. One is to basically true us up consistent with our general fund of the City of McAllen with sales tax revenue and projections. As you know, we've had pretty good years so far, so we're making a recommendation to up the expected total revenue by about $1.689 million. From 20.1 million to 21.8. So that's number 1. Number 2 has to do with STC, and this is something that actually came before the City Commission last year, and we've been waiting on documentation from STC for their nursing program. We're finally getting it. And although the item is a request for a budget amendment of $500,000, which was the commitment last year, it's more than likely that they will not receive the entire $500,000 for the year because they didn't do certain things last semester. In talking to Yvette and the grants department, there are some expenditures that they've had that are going to be eligible. And then the second part to that is stipends to students in the nursing program. So what we'll commit to you is that we'll look at it very, very closely. We can bring you back that information. We do recommend approval, but it will not be the entire $500,000 that is.
How much do you think it's going to be worth? Not so many.
Probably I'm guessing, as a total guess, is about $300,000.
But wasn't it for teaching?
Yes.
For bringing teaching slots?
Well, no, it was for the students themselves to go into the nursing program and the teaching. Was it for teaching also? Yes.
It was to pay for
the teacher, but also stipends for the students.
Stipends for the students also?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
2 things.
Yeah. Okay. And then the next item is a project that you've actually approved a long time ago, probably 2 fiscal years back. They finally are requesting a draw, and that's the domain development. And so we're recommending approval of that $600,000. The total is over $2 million commitment, but this is their first draw of $600,000.
I'll abstain from that item.
Okay. And I don't have a memo for it, but I'm also showing an Insight increase in revenue due to Insight. That's a contract that we have with that company, so I'll highlight that also. So we are recommending approval. And lastly is the $200,000 for La Plaza Mall that we've discussed in the past.
So that'll be all in one motion?
Yes.
For those?
Mm-hmm.
I'll make the motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve the mid-year adjustments as presented. with Commissioner O'Donnell abstaining. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. All right. On item number 3, the tabled item, need to remove it from the table.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. This is the McAllen Chamber of Commerce Innovation Texas program that we're going to hear again.
Thank you, Chairman, and the rest of the board as well for having this item up again for consideration. There was a couple documents that were requested, some more reference material that we went ahead and provided for everybody to review. What I really wanted to focus on to be able to hopefully get to some sort of consensus regarding this program and this partnership with the Development Corp is an additional document that I provided, which was 2 budget details that typically are attached with any form of grant request that's provided to the Development Corp. Essentially providing 3 options, one being the original option at the full amount, and then a couple other scenarios as well. Our recommendation, after having several series of discussions and meetings internally, we feel that the best recommendation that we could provide is essentially what we had talked about in our last meeting, which was to focus first on the programming. Essentially, let's see if we can commit to starting off a watered-down version of this partnership, focus on the programming, be able to provide you all with results as to who has attended these programs, so you can see the change and transition from, a business owner that didn't have those educational resources before to what they have them, or what they are now once they have it and what they've learned. In addition to that, we've also reduced the salary request to just have somebody that we can hire to do the program management of that program and be able to monitor these individuals, be able to track their growth, and be able to provide the reporting, right, that ROI that we can all agree to when it's our turn to provide a final report to the Development Corp. So as the McAllen Chamber of Commerce, we feel strongly that if we provide a watered-down version for this pilot, I think we can agree collectively when the time comes to be able to make a strong determination as to whether or not we want to have a fund that can provide grants to these entrepreneurs so that they can initiate that next step of growth. That's the recommendation. I didn't want to provide a much longer-winded presentation, but I would be more than happy to entertain any questions moving forward as well.
What's the dollar amount of the cost that we're talking about?
So it was $75,000 for the programming, which we spoke about in the prior meeting, and we just went ahead and added a program manager's salary of $50,000 plus the fringe benefits at $16,500, bringing a total of $141,500 to be able to get this program started.
Was there anything else in the original request that you feel is essential for making this program successful, or do you think that the rest can remain until the next fiscal year until we look at it again?
I think it was very clear in my perspective that it's a brand new concept that probably was never brought to this board at one point. It is exciting to be able to create something that can provide some sort of financial incentive to these businesses that are looking at scaling up and are looking at creating jobs. But I think it's a safe recommendation for both parties as a partnership to be able to see what the educational return of investment would look like initially. Now, if within the middle of the programming, we're able to identify and provide reports to this board of exactly what kind of businesses are coming through the door, then perhaps we can have a different discussion, right, about what type of incentives we can provide at the end of the program.
Yeah.
But I think this is the safest bet for us to be able to just launch this, be able to say, the city of McAllen is providing an upgraded resource when it comes to education to turn these entrepreneurs to become more bankable, be able to understand debt leverage, and not repeat any sort of program where we are just handing out, financial incentives, whether they're 0% interest loans or forgivable loans or anything like that. We really want these folks to understand how they can scale up an operation. And you can't really go wrong with investing on education first, because you're able to see that transition and change typically between the cohorts is when you're able to identify those.
Yeah. We can probably get regular updates from you and sounds like a good launching point.
Yeah.
On this program, so,
Mhm.
any questions?
I have a couple of questions.
Of course.
So is Jorge still gonna be the lead person at the chamber?
Not, well,
Is it
with,
someone that's gonna be very well versed in this program from?
yeah. Yeah, so if we go to the third recommendation, right, that third budget detail tab on one of the Excel sheets, a program manager is basically going to handle the intake, sort of the customer service aspect to ensure that we're monitoring every entrepreneur that's going through the programming and ensuring that we provide accurate reporting back to the Development Corp for all the funding that was used. Obviously, we're not omitting the possibility of Jorge, myself, and additional staff members to be on top of this programming to ensure that it is successful. We're just not requesting funding to subsidize the salaries of either Jorge or myself or anybody else. We just want to be able to hire somebody else that's 100% dedicated for this program as a program manager.
Yeah, from my perspective, it was just having someone on staff that's gonna be completely familiar with all the ins and outs of the program.
Yeah.
And so, and then we're gonna have somebody here too, that you had said at last meeting that you'd have a point person that also would be very familiar with the program and how it functions.
Yes, ma'am.
Has the, just a general question, has the board made a recommendation of who that person will be?
Cesar Rodriguez.
All right, excellent. That'll be fun.
If I recall, we set up this meeting because there was a time issue, was there not? Had you started this program? There were
Yeah.
applicants in waiting? I don't recall exactly why that.
We haven't opened up our application because we don't have an agreement in place yet or anything of that sort.
The program hasn't necessarily started or anything.
It hasn't necessarily started. We have some flexibility to start this month because we had a target date for the last week of May. So we're still running on that flexibility. We have a waiting list already for applicants to participate. Now, that waiting list was, keep in mind some of the folks that were in that waiting list wanted to engage in the programming because they felt that there was going to be some sort of grant as well at the end of the line. Now, the programming itself is substantial enough for folks to continue to participate in this because it's still going to help them become more bankable at the end of the day, and it'll still help them engage with the investor groups that we want to network with and be able to have them network with these folks so that they can obtain the capital that they're looking for. We're just not providing a public fund for them to tap into.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would still be a goal, should we, be successful with this.
Yeah, so my personal comment is whether it comes in the form of a grant or it comes in the form of some sort of program that the city has, for example, the downtown rehabilitation program, the 50/50 refresh, those are still incentives that these folks can connect to. My personal opinion is it would be great for the local municipality or local government to be able to have a public fund to help these folks get to a point where they can become even more bankable. But it's a brand new concept. It's something that, we can, I would like for you all to see that return of what that education looks like before we can make a determination of how large or, what quantities we distribute grants to these folks.
So you're gonna continue doing an outreach to say the banks or SBA or whatever to say, look, we're gonna give them a certificate. What can you offer them in return?
Yeah, no, it's actually more than just a certificate. We still want to be able to have a date in our calendar where we are able to, and this is just for the lack of a better term to describe it, but showcase our graduates, right, of our programming to all these banks, to all these investor groups, the local angel investor group, some VC investor groups that are coming from out of town that have some sort of connection to the Valley. We still want to be able to present that because at the end of each program, each applicant is required to be able to make a pitch, a presentation to be able to showcase what the possibilities would look like if they had additional capital and how they would be scaling up and commercializing as a result of the programming. Yeah, so
I imagine that there's a lot of these entrepreneurs that are looking for just the training, the knowledge aspect of being able to take their idea to from start to finish.
Yeah.
And maybe they have the capital, or it's not a very capital intensive business. Not all of them are looking for capital. And so a lot of them just need the knowledge of how do I get from here to opening the doors you know, in a couple of months, and, you know, what all is involved, and I think that program's going to help us.
Yeah, the best applicant that you can take with a program like this is one that already sees the demand. You know, if I had, I'm just going to throw some numbers and figures out there. If I had $50,000 to buy a machine that can help me produce in volume and be able to get that volume into retail stores, because the retail stores are knocking on my doors that they expect, those are the types of folks that we ideally would want to get. But the programming, the curriculum, as you might see in one of those one-pagers, a couple of them, it really takes you to the ideation level, to anybody that has $500,000 ready to invest but really needs to know how to do that. Yeah.
So this course overview by the Kaufman Foundation is going to be the program?
Yeah, so that's the programming that we use for the ideation phase, because it's a lot of that early stage entrepreneurs that need more of a foundational crash course of how to operate a business. But we have programming that goes beyond those levels as well. Yes. Yeah.
If someone were to visit fasttrack.org, could they sign up and get into the ideation phase and just start it? Or does it have to be linked to their local municipality? How does that work?
It doesn't necessarily have to be linked to the local municipality. The local municipality can participate in providing an incentive, whether it comes in the form of a subsidy or... I
guess that's what I was trying to think. Like, let's say a business person's interested. What motivation do they have to go through the chamber and to just get on the website directly and sign up? Well,
the website directly, when you sign up, you still have to get linked up with somebody local that can provide the coursework and be able to facilitate the cohorts. The benefit of having...
If you were to go right now to Fast Track, would it give you a response that currently there are no options in your area?
Yeah, because it has to connect you with a certified trainer or a certified instructor. I don't recall right off the cuff right now if they're still offering the virtual option. If they do, it's a great benefit. The benefit that comes with these sorts of partnerships that we're proposing is that we're able to guide and monitor the entrepreneur in a variety of different growth levels. So if they get to a point where they do need a brick and mortar, we know exactly where to hand them off to, for example.
So the success stories that you put in here, which are great, by the way, what was the period of time that it took them to...
It's really hard to be able to provide an average turnaround time from one point to another point. But a lot of the folks that I've worked with directly have been able to carefully identify the pitfalls that an entrepreneur should avoid when they're going through a growth pattern, and that has accelerated their time to be able to achieve a certain level of success. And these folks have been able to commercialize. They understand better how to utilize their profits to be able to reinvest in their business. They know exactly what an investor is looking for. They understand different models of financing as well. We had one particular case where we had one, which I believe is also attached as one of the case studies. She was able to understand the importance of having these PO financing with some of these larger retailers. So they provided a PO, and she was able to use that PO to obtain a certain type of financing through Texas Regional Bank and be able to get to a certain point. Now, at that time, we understood that if it wasn't for the educational resources and the continuous mentoring and coaching that we were providing as a municipal organization or a chamber organization, they would have still been lost along the way. And so now they're a great success story because they're growing. They see the value of the city being able to support a small business and all their growth levels. And so it really provides that ROI that's very difficult to quantify because it's a long-term play at the end of the day.
Yeah. Any other questions, or are we ready to take a motion?
I guess if we were going to be doing it we're looking at kind of, you called it watered down at the beginning, right? And
yeah.
I think I sensed we had the hesitancy at first. There's a little idea of kind of people want to see how it goes out.
Yeah.
Do you think at this time you really need a program manager, or maybe just the programming expense itself? Because if we're unsure if this is going to be fully funded and continue down the road, I would hate to go through a hiring process, onboarding, make someone switch jobs
Yeah.
for something that has quite a bit of uncertainty in a way, right?
Yeah.
Could you guys handle the next 90 days, 120 days of maybe applications? I don't know which phase the businesses might go in, right? And then do a roadmap and say we've got 20, these are the 20 that have been accepted, they've agreed, these are the different phases they're going in, this is why we need a program manager at this point.
Yeah.
Or could
The
we
full-time
do it-
job, I'm just
or
not
could
sure.
we do it conditional, like
Do
you're
what?
saying, approve the amount that he's requesting, and then maybe put those conditions in for that particular funding instead of.
Yeah, either with
Okay.
conditions or I don't mind visiting 60, 90 days and just a week we can stay kind of updated as to how the
And I think
program's
that
kind of
would- I
rolling
think that's
along.
what we would require at that point.
I mean, based on the hypothetical, we can manage it that way. We have good partners that can help us with the application intake, the monitoring as well. We can manage it either way.
I think we scaled it down already quite significantly, and I don't think it's unreasonable to add a $50,000 position to, it'd be a lot to put on, the staff already.
Yeah, it's an added burden. I don't deny that.
So,
It's per year, so
it's for a year, too.
Yeah, we can handle that as contract work, right? Like it's a 1-year contract. We can do that. I've been told not to be over optimistic, but I just feel like I have to leave my 2 cents here. There has always been a great return on investment when it comes to providing these grants with the condition of entrepreneurs going through proper educational programming.
we want to succeed.
Yeah.
You're right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We want to keep us abreast, hey, these last 2 to 3 weeks, we found this. This is the need that we're seeing out there. Please let us know, and we can maybe make adjustments or whatever, within a month or 2 months, whatever, but.
Yeah.
Yep. And how we market it and how we, get it across to our citizens that this is available is important. So we need to possibly look at MCN and a couple other.
Like cross promotion, right?
Cross promotions and whatever, to try to encourage it. We want it to succeed, and we want to fully fund it next year. And
Yeah, no, I appreciate the positive outlook and the optimism. It always works best. It's a team effort at the end of the day. But I do think it checks off that box where, the city of McAllen wants to help out small businesses, and both education and possibly financial resources in the near future will help. I know that, if I'm not mistaken, Roy, you can probably correct me on this, I think the Development Corp at one point partnered with the Lift Fund, I believe, to provide 0% interest loans. This programming can also serve as a deal flow for these folks as well. So it works well, in a variety of different aspects.
Yeah.
So the fast track program will be taught at UTRGV?
No, the fast track program will be taught at the chamber.
Oh, at the chamber.
Yeah.
But in person with an instructor here?
In person, we can provide virtual options, but we really would like for these folks to be there, committed in person. Yeah. In both English and Spanish. Yeah.
Great. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Second.
So the motion is to allow for the $75,000 programming and then the $50,000 employee, right, with the benefits of $16,000 extra benefits, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's a second as well, you said? By Director Soto? Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.
Good luck, Josh.
Thank you all.
Thank you well.
So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, but thank you for your consideration.
We're good.
20 days?
20 days a year total. Yes, sir.
If there was a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. All against? Motion carried. Thank you. What else do we have?
We have an item or two on executive session.